Beaches are often places of sun, sand, and relaxation. But along the American coastline, some beaches carry darker histories. Tides wash ashore more than shells and driftwood, they carry whispers, shadows, and the memories of the lost. Visitors report ghostly figures appearing in the surf, footprints leading nowhere, and eerie voices carried on the wind. Some beaches have witnessed shipwrecks, drownings, or violent events, leaving restless spirits behind. Tonight, we explore 20 of the creepiest haunted beaches in the United States, where the waves echo with tragedy and the night hides more than darkness. The ocean is vast and mysterious, a place where beauty and danger coexist. Along the American coast, certain beaches are steeped in stories that chill the soul. Haunted beaches carry the weight of history, tragedy, and unexplained phenomena. From ghostly sailors wandering the shoreline to shadowy figures appearing at dusk, these beaches are alive with the past. Visitors have felt icy gusts of wind, heard whispers in the night, and seen figures vanish before their eyes. Some of these locations are tied to shipwrecks, murders, or mysterious disappearances, while others are haunted by energy lingering from long-forgotten tragedies. Imagine walking alone along a beach as the sun dips below the horizon. The waves lap gently at your feet, yet you sense something watching. A shadow moves just beyond the foam, a figure standing silently as if waiting for you to leave. You turn, but no one is there, only the sound of distant cries mingling with the roar of the ocean. As we explore these 20 haunted beaches, picture the mist rolling in, the sand cold beneath your feet, and every creak and splash carrying the whispers of the past. Before we step onto the first haunted beach, ask yourself if a ghostly figure emerged from the waves tonight, would you dare to walk closer or run from the shore? Ocean City Beach in Maryland is known for its wide stretches of sand, the rhythmic crashing of waves, and the warm glow of sunsets over the Atlantic. By day, it is a place of leisure and laughter, with families strolling along the shoreline, children playing in the surf, and seagulls circling above. But as dusk approaches and the crowds thin, a different presence begins to emerge along the sands. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly apparitions drifting near the waterline. Figures that appear only for a moment before vanishing into the mist. Sailors, clad in attire from centuries past. Wandering along the surf as though searching for something lost to the sea. Their faces are indistinct, yet their movements convey a weight of longing, a silent connection to a history of tragedy and disappearance along these shores. The whispers that accompany these sightings are subtle yet unnerving. Names are carried on the wind, faint and haunting, as if the ocean itself is calling to those who walk near the waves. Some claim to hear their own names or the names of distant relatives, creating a sense of familiarity that is both comforting and unsettling. The whispers blend with the natural sounds of the beach, making it difficult to discern whether the voices are real or imagined, a boundary that blurs with every passing moment. The sea has long held a reputation for both beauty and danger, and Ocean City Beach is no exception. The surf conceals the history of countless storms, shipwrecks, and lost lives, each leaving a trace upon the sands. It is said that those who venture close to the water at twilight can feel a sudden chill, a sensation that seems to emanate from the shoreline itself, reminding visitors that the beach is more than just a recreational space. It is a keeper of stories, some spoken, many silent. Sightings are not limited to the shoreline alone. Walkways, piers, and dunes have all been sites of unusual experiences. Figures sometimes appear at the edge of the dunes, watching silently. Before dissolving into the evening haze. Shadows stretch and shift as the sun dips below the horizon. And the transition from day to night seems to awaken an awareness in the beach that is unseen by most. The phenomenon extends beyond the visual. Some visitors report the sensation of being followed, though no one is near. Cold drafts roll off the water, brushing against arms and necks. And the smell of salt and seaweed can carry a sharpness that feels charged with unseen energy, leaving a lasting impression. making it clear that Ocean City Beach is a place where the past lingers, intertwined with the present. Many believe the apparitions are the spirits of sailors lost to storms or shipwrecks, unable to find rest. The Atlantic has claimed countless lives over the centuries, and each tragic event leaves an imprint upon the shore. These spirits may wander the sands seeking closure, their presence felt by those sensitive enough to notice. The ebb and flow of the tide mirrors the rhythm of their movements, as though the ocean itself participates in the memory of those it has taken. Local lore suggests that the best time to experience these phenomena is during the quiet hours of twilight, when the horizon glows with fading light and the waves shimmer in shades of orange and purple. During these moments, the boundary between the physical world and the unseen seems to thin, allowing glimpses of figures just beyond the veil of perception. Each observer may see something different: a solitary sailor, a small group of figures, or a fleeting shadow moving against the backdrop of surf and sky. The history of the area enhances the eerie feeling that pervades the beach. From the colonial era to modern times, Ocean City has seen a steady flow of travelers, many of whom relied on the sea for sustenance, commerce, and passage. Each life, each journey, leaves a subtle mark, and in certain conditions, these marks become visible to those who are attuned to the energy of the place. Visitors are reminded that beneath the beauty of sand and sea lies a tapestry of human experience, some of it peaceful, some tragic. Despite the supernatural reports, Ocean City Beach continues to draw people seeking the natural beauty of the Atlantic coast. Yet for those who stay into the evening and walk the sands with awareness, the experience can be unlike any other. The whispers, the figures, and the sensations offer a glimpse into a world that exists alongside the familiar. A world where the memory of those lost to the ocean persists, quietly observing the living. Ocean City Beach stands as a place of contrast, where the joys of summer coexist with the shadows of history. Every wave that laps against the shore carries the echo of lives once lived. And the ghostly figures that appear at dusk remind visitors that the past is never truly gone. In the quiet moments between sunset and nightfall, the beach transforms, revealing itself as a liminal space where memory, loss, and the supernatural intertwine with the rhythm of the sea. For those who wander the sands with patience and attention, the experience is immersive and profound. Shadows stretch long along the beach, whispers drift over the surf, and the figures of lost sailors appear and disappear, leaving only the feeling that the shoreline holds secrets older than anyone can remember. Ocean City Beach is a place where history and mystery meet, a stretch of land and water. A stretch of land and water that invites the living to witness echoes of the past, lingering softly among the waves and sand. The beach remains timeless, a place where each sunset brings a new opportunity for encounter. Ghostly figures, whispers, and fleeting sensations are part of the unseen fabric of Ocean City. A reminder that the Atlantic has always been more than just water and waves. It is a keeper of stories, a mirror of the human experience, and a site where the line between the living and the departed can blur, leaving those who observe with a lasting sense of wonder and unease. Crescent Beach stretches along the Florida coastline, its sands usually sunlit and inviting, yet beneath its serene appearance lies a history of strange events and unexplained disappearances. Locals and visitors alike speak in hushed tones about the beach, describing moments when the familiar warmth of the sun seems overshadowed by an unseen presence. Even on the brightest days, the air can shift suddenly, carrying gusts of cold wind that chill the skin and unsettle the mind. Those who walk along the dunes at dawn or dusk often report seeing shadowy figures. They appear at the edges of vision, vanishing when looked at directly, leaving only the feeling that someone or something is watching. Their presence is fleeting, yet their effect is lingering, a subtle sense of unease that clings to the air. Whispers, both soft and urgent, carry across the dunes, drifting on the wind. Some say the voices are crying, filled with sorrow and longing, while others hear laughter, light and eerie, echoing across empty stretches of sand. These sounds appear without source, leaving witnesses questioning their own perception. The cries and laughter often blend, a haunting melody that rises and fades with the shifting tides. As though the beach itself remembers stories of those who vanished or wandered too far. The water near Crescent Beach is deceptively calm, yet visitors have reported strange sensations while near the shoreline. The sand beneath the feet sometimes seems to shift unnaturally, giving way to spots where one can feel a subtle pull or pressure. Others speak of sudden chills along the water's edge, the kind that do not align with the warmth of the sun or the gentle waves. These experiences suggest that the beach holds energies or memories beyond the ordinary, a place where the past and present brush against each other in unseen ways. Even the dunes themselves appear alive to those who are sensitive to the unexplained. Shadows seem to gather and stretch, rising higher as if watching or waiting. Footprints appear where no one has walked, often leading toward the dunes only to disappear at the crest. Visitors describe an uncanny awareness, a feeling that the sand beneath their feet is part of a larger, mysterious narrative, one that resists understanding yet commands attention. Nightfall brings a new layer of mystery. The cries and laughter can intensify, carried more clearly on the breeze. Shadowy forms become more pronounced, their movements almost deliberate, lingering at the boundary between sand and water. Some explorers claim to see figures emerging from the dunes, walking toward the ocean before fading entirely, leaving no trace but the echo of their passage. Locals speak cautiously of Crescent Beach, warning newcomers about wandering alone after dark or straying too far from the more populated areas. Yet the allure of the unknown draws people back, eager to experience what cannot be fully explained. Photographs sometimes capture anomalies, blurred shapes or faint silhouettes that defy rational explanation. While audio recordings occasionally pick up distant laughter or the sound of weeping carried on the wind. These phenomena reinforce the beach's reputation as a place where reality and the inexplicable intersect. The history of Crescent Beach adds layers to its mystique. Tales of disappearances, of visitors who never return from walks along the dunes, are woven into local lore. Stories tell of people vanishing near the water or being drawn to unseen figures at the edge of vision. While official records may provide little detail, the accumulation of personal accounts creates a sense of continuity, a haunting presence that persists across generations. Visitors often leave the beach with a heightened awareness, sensing that they have encountered something beyond the ordinary. The cold gusts, the whispers, the fleeting figures, all contribute to an atmosphere charged with mystery. Crescent Beach becomes more than a picturesque coastline, it transforms into a place where memory, loss, and the unknown converge. Where every wave and grain of sand seems to hold a secret waiting to be acknowledged. Those who linger at the dunes, watching the sun dip below the horizon, often feel a connection to the unseen. The cries and laughter, the shadowy figures, the sudden chills, all speak to a history that remains present, subtly interwoven with the natural beauty of the beach. Crescent Beach is a space where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where each visit offers the possibility of encountering a trace of something beyond understanding, a silent witness to the mysteries that have unfolded upon its sands. In this way, Crescent Beach continues to captivate and unsettle. It is a place of contrasts, where warmth and cold coexist. Where laughter and sorrow echo across the dunes. And where the visible and invisible overlap. Those who walk its sands are invited to witness a landscape alive with stories. A coastline that holds the memories of the missing and the whispers of those who have come before. The beach, with its shifting sands and restless spirits, leaves an indelible impression, a reminder that some mysteries endure. Quietly waiting at the edge of perception. Cape May Beach stretches along the southern tip of New Jersey. A place where the land meets the restless Atlantic. And history seems to linger in every grain of sand. Beneath the water lie the remnants of countless shipwrecks. Vessels claimed by storms and treacherous tides over centuries. Visitors walking along the beach often speak of a strange atmosphere as the sun dips toward the horizon. The sky turns shades of gold and crimson, and the water reflects those colors in a way that feels almost otherworldly. In this shifting light, shapes sometimes appear along the sand, figures moving slowly as if performing routines long past. Some describe seeing ghostly sailors pacing the shore, their movements deliberate yet silent, leaving an impression that the past is reaching out from beneath the waves. The shipwrecks that dot the coast contribute to the haunting character of Cape May Beach. Each sunken hull is a reminder of lives lost to storms, navigational errors, or accidents on unforgiving waters. Local stories tell of sailors who never returned, and of apparitions that walk the sand as if searching for a way home. On foggy mornings, the haze rising from the ocean seems to form shapes that vanish when approached, creating a liminal space where reality and memory merge. At night, the beach transforms into a stage of subtle mysteries. Lights are sometimes seen flickering over the water, faint glimmers that appear without source. They shimmer and shift, reflecting off the waves as if lanterns held by unseen hands. Some visitors feel the air grow colder along the shoreline, a sudden chill that seems to follow the motion of these ephemeral lights. The sensation of being observed, of something ancient and unexplainable present in the landscape, lingers long after the sun has set. Sounds along Cape May Beach are similarly haunting. The ocean itself seems to speak with deeper resonance here. Waves crash against the shore with a weight that carries more than mere water, echoing the lives entwined with the sea. Some hear the faint calls of sailors, indistinct murmurs that rise and fall with the tide. Others detect the creak of ship timbers, imagined or remembered, as if the wrecked vessels are replaying the final movements of their doomed journeys. The beach offers both solitude and connection. Walking along the shoreline, the sand cold beneath bare feet, one can sense the layers of history pressing gently against the present. Every footprint, every drift of sand, feels temporary against the permanence of the ocean and the stories it preserves. The ghostly figures are often seen near the waterline, pausing as if to look out across the waves, or retracing steps once taken long ago by sailors who lived and died in pursuit of the horizon. Cape May Beach has also inspired many tales of guidance and warning. Mariners of the past spoke of ghostly lights leading ships toward danger or away from the reefs. Modern visitors sometimes feel that same duality, a simultaneous pull toward curiosity and caution. The interplay of natural beauty and spectral presence creates a tension that is subtle yet persistent, drawing observers into careful awareness of their surroundings. Fog and mist intensify the sense of mystery along the coast. Early mornings bring a thick haze that muffles sound and softens light, creating illusions of movement and presence. Shadowy forms appear near the dunes or along the shoreline, sometimes dissolving into mist before recognition can occur. Even during the day, the combination of light, water, and fog can trick the eye, lending the beach an ethereal quality that is at once captivating and unsettling. Visitors who linger by the water's edge report strange sensations of being accompanied. A shadow moving along the sand, a glint of light over a wave, or a sudden shift in temperature can provoke the feeling of unseen company. These experiences are fleeting, yet powerful, leaving impressions that are difficult to dismiss. They evoke the weight of history, the lives once tied to the sea, and the resonance of events long past. The relationship between Cape May Beach and its spectral history is intertwined with the rhythm of the ocean. Waves rise and fall, tides advance and recede, and beneath it all lie the remnants of shipwrecks and the memories of those claimed by the sea. The apparitions, lights, and sounds are all part of a landscape that balances natural beauty with historical presence, creating a compelling tableau of maritime mystery. The apparitions, lights, and sounds are all part of a landscape that balances natural beauty with historical presence, creating a compelling tableau of maritime mystery. The relationship between Cape May Beach and its spectral history is intertwined with the rhythm of the ocean. Even for those who do not see the figures or lights, the atmosphere is tangible. The beach carries the energy of centuries, a lingering sense of lives intersecting with the natural forces of wind and water. Every footstep along the sand, every glance toward the horizon, is an invitation to sense the layers of time and memory embedded within this space. Cape May Beach remains a place of reflection, curiosity, and quiet wonder. It is a location where the living can walk among echoes of the past. Where history is not confined to books or monuments, but persists in the rhythm of the waves, the chill of the wind, and the fleeting presence of ghostly sailors. The beach is a reminder that the sea holds stories beyond the reach of the present. And that even in the calmest moments, the past is never truly gone. For those who visit, Cape May Beach offers more than scenery. It offers a connection to the lives, struggles, and mysteries of generations long gone. The spectral sailors walking the sand, the flickering lights over water, and the whispers carried on the wind all speak to a history that refuses to be forgotten. Here, the Atlantic keeps its secrets, and the shoreline preserves the memory of every soul who has ever faced the vast, unforgiving sea. Rehoboth Beach in Delaware is known for its sun-drenched boardwalks and gentle waves. A place where summer memories are made amid the laughter of children and the soft hum of ocean breezes. Beneath the surface of this popular seaside town lies a quieter, more elusive presence. One that whispers through the sands and lingers along the shoreline long after the crowds have gone. Visitors arriving in the early morning often notice subtle movements among the beach chairs and umbrellas, shadows that flit and shift in ways that seem just beyond the corner of the eye. These fleeting glimpses are rarely direct, often perceived as a passing figure, a shimmer of motion, or the sense that something or something is observing quietly from a distance. The shoreline holds particular intrigue. Figures dressed in bathing suits from a bygone era are occasionally reported, strolling along the wet sand or pausing to watch the waves roll in. They appear as if suspended in time, distant and untouchable, dissolving into the morning mist or fading with the rising sun when approached. Their presence is gentle yet undeniable, a reminder of the lives and moments that have passed through this coastal town over the decades. Even as the sun climbs higher, the energy of the beach seems to change. Sounds of past activity occasionally echo in the wind. The soft patter of footsteps across sand, the faint laughter of children, or the gentle creak of wooden planks along the boardwalk can be heard when no one is around. These auditory remnants blend seamlessly with the present, creating a layered experience where time feels fluid and history is palpable in the air. Boardwalk vendors and longtime residents speak of sensations that defy simple explanation. Some feel sudden chills even on warm afternoons, while others report catching glimpses of shadowy figures slipping between shops or along the edges of piers. These moments are fleeting, often leaving a sense of curiosity and wonder, a lingering impression that something unseen remains connected to the town's past. The beach itself holds a particular kind of stillness as evening approaches. The sun dips toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand and highlighting patterns of footprints that seem to appear and disappear mysteriously. Observers often describe a sense of being watched, an unshakable awareness of presence without physical form. The ebb and flow of the tide seems to carry voices from the past, whispering along the surf in a way that feels both haunting and serene. Structures along the beachfront contribute to the atmosphere. Old piers, wooden walkways, and historic bathhouses contain subtle traces of those who once frequented them. Lights flicker inexplicably in empty windows, and objects occasionally shift as though guided by unseen hands. These occurrences are gentle, never threatening, yet they instill a sense of connection to lives lived long ago along this very shore. These occurrences are gentle, never threatening, yet they instill a sense of connection to lives lived long ago along this very shore. These occurrences are gentle, never threatening, yet they instill a sense of connection to lives lived long ago along this very shore. Even the ocean itself seems to hold a memory. Small ripples sometimes catch the sunlight in unusual ways, creating reflections that resemble figures standing just beyond the waves. The horizon can appear to bend time, allowing fleeting glimpses of scenes from the past. As though the beach is a stage where present and history meet momentarily before parting again. The boardwalk carries its own echoes of activity. Long after shops have closed and crowds have dispersed, soft footfalls and whispers seem to linger in the spaces between buildings. Patrons walking alone at night report feeling eyes upon them, subtle shifts in the air, and the occasional brush of cold wind that cannot be attributed to the breeze. These moments are quiet yet profound, hinting at the unseen presence of those who have walked these paths before. During quiet moments at dawn or dusk, the beach takes on a cinematic quality. Shifting sunlight interacts with the waves and boardwalk structures, casting long, elongated shapes that appear almost human. The shifting sunlight interacts with the waves and boardwalk structures, casting long, elongated shapes that appear almost human, lingering just long enough to spark wonder before dissolving into the morning or evening glow. The presence of history is subtle but persistent. From the scent of salt in the air to the gentle rhythm of the waves, Rehoboth Beach carries layers of memory, a quiet testimony to decades of lives lived along its shores. Visitors often sense this without understanding why, feeling a connection to something beyond the visible, a current of awareness that runs deeper than the sun and sand. Whether it is the glint of a shadow among beach chairs, a figure pausing near the shoreline, or the soft murmur of past voices on the wind. A figure pausing near the shoreline, or the soft murmur of past voices on the wind. The soft murmur of past voices on the wind. But a common thread persists: the beach is a place where history is alive, quietly observed, and sometimes glimpsed by those attentive enough to notice. The beach is a place where history is alive, quietly observed, and sometimes glimpsed by those attentive enough to notice. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, is more than a seaside destination. It is a living narrative, a place where the present mingles with traces of the past. Where shadows and whispers invite reflection, and where fleeting figures remind us that the stories of those who came before remain ever present. Those who walk its sands and boardwalks are participants in an ongoing dialogue between now and then, witnessing a subtle yet powerful testament to the enduring presence of memory along the shore. Alki Beach in Washington is a place where the serene beauty of the Pacific meets the bustling life of Seattle. During the day, families stroll along the sand, surfers ride the waves, and seagulls circle overhead. The view of the city skyline across the water adds a vibrant contrast to the natural setting, creating a sense of calm and wonder. Yet beneath this lively exterior lies a history marked by tragedy, giving rise to whispers of a haunting that lingers along the shoreline. Visitors have long reported seeing ghostly silhouettes standing at the water's edge. Figures that appear for a moment before vanishing into the waves. These apparitions are often described as faint and indistinct, yet there is a presence to them. A weight that can be felt even in the absence of sight. Some say the figures move slowly, as if caught between worlds, wandering the sands in quiet reflection. The moments are brief but unforgettable, leaving those who witness them with a lingering sense of unease and curiosity. The history of Alki Beach contributes to its mysterious reputation. Over the decades, numerous accidents and drownings have occurred along this stretch of shoreline. The powerful currents of the Puget Sound and unexpected waves have claimed lives, leaving behind memories that seem to echo through time. Locals and visitors alike report that the beach can feel different at dusk, when the sunlight fades and shadows stretch across the sand. It is during these quiet hours that the stories of ghostly figures and unexplained sensations are most often experienced. Some witnesses describe a feeling of being watched, even when no one else is nearby. Cold breezes drift across the shoreline, carrying with them the faint scent of salt and seaweed. At times, a sudden shiver passes through those walking near the water, a subtle reminder that the beach holds more than just natural beauty. Footsteps can be heard where no one treads, and the sound of lapping waves seems punctuated by whispers that are barely audible, as if the spirits themselves are reaching out to the living. The ghostly silhouettes often appear near the areas where previous drownings occurred, standing at the edge of the surf as if tethered to the spot by memory and unfinished business. They are rarely aggressive or threatening, instead conveying a sense of sadness or longing. Observers note that the figures sometimes turn toward the shore, gazing toward the city lights before fading back into the mist or the waves. These experiences are fleeting, yet they leave a powerful impression, a sense that the past and present are entwined in ways not immediately visible. Even during daytime, Alki Beach retains a subtle sense of mystery. Walkers along the boardwalk have reported glimpses of movement from the corner of their eyes. Shadows that vanish when directly looked at. Photographs taken at the beach sometimes reveal unexplained shapes or faint silhouettes near the water. The combination of natural beauty and spectral presence creates an atmosphere both enchanting and eerie, drawing those who are fascinated by the unknown. The haunting is not confined to any single location along the beach. Piers, rock formations, and quiet stretches of sand have all been sites of sightings. Ghostly figures appear alone or in small groups, sometimes emerging from the mist before vanishing without a trace. Waves crash gently against the shore, yet there is a rhythm that seems almost deliberate, echoing the movements of those who once walked or struggled along the sands. The environment itself seems alive with memory, and visitors cannot help but feel the presence of those who came before. Local legends suggest that the spirits of Alki Beach are drawn to the water, the very element that claimed their lives. The very element that claimed their lives. Witnesses describe a calmness in the apparitions, a quiet dignity that contrasts with the fear that such sightings might inspire. A quiet dignity that contrasts with the fear that such sightings might inspire. These are not malevolent entities, but echoes of lives interrupted, their presence a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of memory. But echoes of lives interrupted, their presence a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of memory. Their presence a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of memory. And the power of memory. The best time to experience the subtle mysteries of Alki Beach is during twilight or the early hours of morning. The Suna's low angle casts long shadows across the sand, and the dim light mingles with fog or mist rising from the water. It is in these moments that ghostly figures are most often reported, and the boundary between the natural and the supernatural feels thinnest. Even casual observers may notice a sudden chill, a fleeting movement, or a sense that the shoreline is not entirely empty. Alki Beach remains a destination of contrasts, where the vibrant energy of the city meets the quiet, sometimes unsettling presence of the past. The waves themselves carry echoes of memory across the sands. For those who walk the beach with awareness, there is an immersive sense of connection to history and the unknown. A feeling that each step along the shoreline is accompanied by unseen watchers who have yet to leave the world behind. The haunting of Alki Beach is subtle, a gentle reminder that beauty and tragedy can exist side by side. The surf continues its eternal rhythm, and the city shines across the water. Yet the spirits remain, wandering where land meets sea. Observers leave the beach with stories, with questions, and with the sense that the past is never truly gone. It is a place where the living and the departed share space. And the waves whisper tales of memory, loss, and the quiet persistence of those who linger just beyond the edge of sight. Alki Beach is more than a shoreline. It is a keeper of history, a witness to tragedy, and a stage for mysteries that endure beyond the natural world. Those who visit at the right time with patience and attention, may catch a glimpse of the ghostly silhouettes standing at the water's edge, disappearing into the waves, leaving behind the enduring impression that the beach holds secrets older than anyone can imagine. Nag's Head Beach stretches along the North Carolina coastline, a place of sand, surf, and a history that reaches deep into the waters beyond. On most days, the beach appears serene, with the waves lapping gently against the shore and the wind carrying the scent of salt and seaweed. Yet beneath this tranquility lies a reputation built on the unexplained, the stories of sailors and fishermen who never returned, their presence said to linger among the dunes. Visitors often describe the mornings when fog rolls in from the Atlantic, a thick mist that blankets the shoreline and softens the world into a gray, otherworldly landscape. In these foggy hours, some report the faint echo of footsteps along the sand, sounds that do not belong to any living walker. They seem to circle the dunes and vanish as suddenly as they appear, leaving a sense of tension that presses against the chest and makes the hair on the back of the neck rise. Figures have been seen wandering near the edge of the dunes, silhouetted against the fog. Sailors from long-forgotten wrecks, fishermen who vanished during storms, their forms half-seen and elusive, moving with a slow, purposeful gait. Witnesses say these apparitions are most visible when the fog is thickest, emerging from the mist as if drawn from the very waters that claimed them. Their faces are indistinct, but the feeling of being watched, of being followed by unseen eyes, is unmistakable. Alongside the figures, whispers float through the air. Voices drift across the sand, soft, unintelligible, sometimes calling names, sometimes telling tales that cannot be grasped. These sounds seem tied to the wind, but they are not carried in the usual patterns. Some who have lingered too long in the fog claim to have felt a presence brushing against them, a subtle pressure in the air as though someone had walked just behind them moments before. The dunes themselves seem alive to those who are sensitive to the unusual. Shadows move in ways that defy the light, stretching unnaturally and retreating without source. Footprints appear briefly in the sand, sometimes leading toward the water, sometimes into the fog, only to fade moments later. Visitors report a creeping sensation, a subtle unease that grows with each step, a reminder that Nag's Head Beach is not entirely as it seems. Even the waves carry a certain unpredictability. On foggy mornings, the surf can sound distant yet unnervingly close, echoing like the cries of those lost at sea. The water seems to whisper along the shore, a constant murmur that blends with the wind and the footsteps in the sand. Some have said that standing at the water's edge, one can feel the pull of the past, the lingering memories of those whose lives were claimed by storms and tides. Despite these unsettling experiences, Nag's Head Beach draws people still. Influenced by its history and the possibility of witnessing the unexplained. Photographs sometimes reveal anomalies. Faint silhouettes or misty figures that are difficult to explain. Audio recordings have captured distant voices. Carried on the wind, their origin uncertain. These encounters, while brief and fleeting, reinforce the sense that the beach is more than a scenic stretch of sand. It is a place where the stories of the missing endure, woven into the very fabric of the dunes and the mist. Local lore amplifies the mystery. Tales passed down from generations speak of vessels lost just off the coast, of fishermen swept away by sudden storms, and of travelers who never returned after wandering the beach alone. These narratives, while fragmented and sometimes contradictory, create a tapestry of suspense and intrigue. Each story contributes to the belief that the beach holds more than natural beauty. That it is a threshold between the world of the living and the unseen. That the beach holds more than natural beauty, that it is a threshold between the world of the living and the unseen. Each story contributes to the belief that the beach holds more than natural beauty, that it is a threshold between the world of the living and the unseen. Even as daylight breaks and the fog lifts, a sense of unease can linger. The echoes of footsteps, the distant figures in the mist, and the whispers that drift across the sand leave an impression long after visitors depart. The dunes seem to remember every visitor, every lost soul, every whispered tale, carrying the memory forward in the rhythm of the waves and the shifting sand. Walking along Nag's Head Beach is to walk in a space where history and mystery intersect. The fog, the figures, the footsteps, and the voices form an atmosphere that is both captivating and disquieting. Those who explore the dunes gain an awareness of the unseen, a reminder that some places retain the presence of the past, holding it close and allowing it to touch those who venture near. Nag's Head Beach remains a place of contrasts. It is beautiful and dangerous, serene and haunting. A coastline that conceals as much as it reveals. Every visit holds the potential for a fleeting glimpse of the unexplained. An encounter with shadows and whispers. A brush with the spirits of sailors and fishermen who still wander the dunes. The beach endures as a place of memory, mystery, and quiet reverence. A location where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. And where the sea continues to hold its secrets for those willing to listen. Montauk Beach stretches along the eastern tip of Long Island, where the Atlantic Ocean meets windswept dunes and the relentless pull of the tide. The shore is known for its natural beauty. But beneath the scenic vistas lies a history steeped in maritime tragedies and lingering memories. Shipwrecks have claimed lives along these waters for centuries, leaving a lasting imprint on the coastline and the stories that drift with the wind. Visitors walking along the beach often feel a sense of solitude that is both calming and unsettling. The sand shifts underfoot, the waves lap rhythmically against the shore, and a cool breeze carries the scent of salt and seaweed. In this quiet space, some report seeing figures moving along the sand, women dressed in period clothing, their movements slow and purposeful. They appear and vanish with the ebb and flow of the tide, as if caught between the present and the past. The waters offshore hold their own mysteries. On calm evenings, lights and shapes are sometimes glimpsed just beyond the breakers. Observers have described forms that resemble sailors navigating phantom ships. Glimmers that appear briefly before dissolving into the darkness of the sea. These fleeting images carry the weight of tragedy, evoking centuries of maritime misfortune. And the spirits of those who never return to land. The soundscape of Montauk Beach adds to its haunting atmosphere. The ocean crashes and whispers, waves colliding with the sand in a rhythm that can feel almost like a heartbeat. Some visitors report faint murmurs carried on the wind, indistinct voices that rise and fall with the tide. The cries of the lost seem to linger in the air, a reminder of the countless lives entangled with the sea. Fog often rolls in from the Atlantic, softening light and muffling sound, creating an ethereal stage where shadow and substance blur. In these moments, the beach transforms into a liminal space. Shapes and figures emerge from the mist, appearing near dunes or just above the waterline, only to vanish when approached. It is in this threshold between visibility and obscurity that the stories of Montauk Beach feel most alive. Many who visit speak of sudden chills, moments when the air feels colder despite a calm day. Shadows stretch across the sand. And the feeling of being watched can become almost tangible. It is as if the spirits of the past linger just beyond perception, tracing the shoreline and moving among the dunes. Even in the presence of other visitors, these sensations remain deeply personal and unmistakably real. Montauk Beach carries the memory of countless shipwrecks and maritime disasters. Each vessel lost, each life claimed, contributes to an invisible tapestry that stretches along the sand. The figures on the shore may be mournful witnesses, their steps tracing patterns that have repeated for generations. Even during daylight, the beach retains an otherworldly quality. Sunlight glints off the waves, casting shifting reflections that can appear as shapes or figures. The interplay of light and water creates illusions that stir the imagination and invite contemplation of the history embedded in this place. Every dune, every drift of sand, holds the weight of stories that are invisible to most but palpable to those attuned to the past. The relationship between Montauk Beach and its spectral history is subtle yet pervasive. There is a sense of continuity, where the living walk among echoes of the past. And the tides carry whispers of lives intertwined with the ocean. Visitors often describe a mixture of awe and unease. Drawn by the beauty of the shore while simultaneously aware of the unseen presence of those who came before. For those who linger at the water's edge, the experience can be transformative. The sound of waves, the movement of sand, and the occasional glimpse of a figure evoke a profound connection to history and memory. The spirits, the lights offshore, and the ghostly figures on the sand all serve as reminders that the sea is a keeper of stories, both tragic and enduring. Montauk Beach continues to captivate visitors with its combination of natural splendor and spectral intrigue. Where shipwrecks and lost lives leave a subtle imprint on the landscape. The women in period clothing. The fleeting lights offshore. And the whispers in the wind. All contribute to an atmosphere that is both haunting and mesmerizing. Every visit is a journey into the unseen, a chance to walk among echoes of history and feel the presence of those who once inhabited this coastline. Here, beauty and mystery coexist, offering a space where the past is ever present and the stories of the lost continue to ripple across the sand and water. Montauk Beach is a living memory, a place where the Atlantic keeps its secrets. And the shore preserves the imprint of countless lives touched by the sea. Here, beauty and mystery coexist, offering a space where the past is ever present. And the stories of the lost continue to ripple across the sand and water. Montauk Beach is a living memory. A place where the Atlantic keeps its secrets. And the shore preserves the imprint of countless lives touched by the sea. Rockport Beach in Texas is known for its wide stretches of sand, gentle surf, and warm Gulf breezes, a place where families gather during the day and sunsets paint the sky in vivid colors. Yet beneath the familiar beauty lies an atmosphere tinged with mystery, a sense that not everything along the shoreline is as it seems. Locals speak of shadows that shift and move along the water's edge. Figures that appear and vanish without explanation. They glide through the mist that rises in the early morning and evening, leaving only fleeting impressions in the sand before disappearing entirely. These shapes are seldom clear, often just a hint of motion at the corner of the eye. Yet they leave a lasting sense of unease in those who notice them. Unexplained lights are another frequent occurrence along the beach. These glows are sometimes mistaken for reflections from boats or lighthouses. Yet observers often report no visible source, no mechanical explanation for the phenomenon. The lights appear in clusters or alone, drifting slowly along the water before fading into the horizon. Visitors walking alone after dusk sometimes feel a sudden chill. A coldness that moves against them with no apparent cause. Some describe the sensation of icy hands brushing along their arms, or the back of their necks, a touch that is fleeting yet tangible. It leaves a shiver that lingers long after the experience. A reminder that the beach holds more than the warmth of the sun and the gentle crash of waves. Even during the day, there is an odd quality to the air near certain parts of Rockport Beach. Winds carry whispers that seem to originate from nowhere, soft and almost melodic, intertwining with the cries of gulls and the gentle lapping of water. These sounds are subtle, often dismissed as imagination. Yet repeated experiences from different visitors suggest a persistent presence along the coast. A quiet awareness of those who have walked these sands long before. The shoreline itself seems to respond to these phenomena. Footprints in the sand sometimes appear where no one has walked, or vanish when approached. Patterns emerge that suggest movement. A trail of activity invisible to the casual observer, hinting at unseen visitors or echoes of the past. The rhythm of the waves and the shifting tides add to this effect, creating a landscape that feels alive and subtly interactive. Old structures along the beach, including piers and historic buildings. Lights flicker in empty windows. Doors occasionally swing without wind. Objects near the edges of boardwalks are found shifted or disturbed. These occurrences are never violent or threatening. But they create a tension, a feeling that the past is quietly present, observing, and sometimes interacting with the living. As night falls, the atmosphere of Rockport Beach transforms. Shadows grow longer and the mist along the shoreline thickens, carrying the echoes of distant sounds. The figures and lights that appear near the water seem more distinct in the dim illumination of moonlight. Moving slowly, almost deliberately, before fading back into the darkness. Walkers report a heightened awareness, the feeling of being watched from just beyond sight. The occasional tug of cold wind that seems to guide attention toward empty spaces. Observers often describe the combination of sights, sounds, and sensations as both eerie and captivating. The experience is rarely frightening in a traditional sense, more subtle, a persistent curiosity that lingers in the mind long after leaving the beach. Visitors leave with stories of moments that defy explanation, small yet profound encounters that suggest layers of history and presence intertwined with the natural beauty of the area. Rockport Beach carries a legacy that is as much about memory and presence as it is about sand and water. From the shifting shadows to the flickering lights. And the unexpected chills. The shoreline invites reflection and contemplation. Offering glimpses of something just beyond ordinary perception. These experiences encourage visitors to look closer, listen more carefully, and acknowledge that even familiar places may hold secrets unseen. Even in the quiet moments, when the sun is low and the waves lap softly against the shore. There is a sense that the beach is not empty. The sand, the water, and the structures along the coast all seem to hold echoes of those who came before. Shadows pass, lights shimmer, and cold touches remind those present that they share this space with more than the living. A subtle but constant presence woven into the very fabric of Rockport Beach. The experiences along Rockport Beach, Texas, are unique and varied, yet a common thread ties them together. Shadows that appear without origin, lights that flicker without source, cold sensations brushing against the living. All suggest that the coastline holds a memory, a quiet story of lives, events, and presences that persist even today. Visitors walk its sands and boardwalks as witnesses to this ongoing dialogue between past and present. Nature and the unexplained, finding themselves both captivated and unsettled by the mysteries hidden along the shore. Cannon Beach in Oregon is renowned for its striking coastline. And the majestic Haystack Rock rising from the surf. Tourists flock to its sands for sunsets, tide pools, and panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean. The crashing waves and sea breeze create a sense of calm and wonder, yet beneath the beauty of this coastal paradise. Whispers of haunting linger among locals and visitors alike. Twilight is when the stories are most often told. As the sun dips below the horizon, long shadows stretch across the sand. And the outlines of Haystack Rock grow darker and more imposing. It is during this time that ghostly figures are said to appear along the shoreline. Silhouettes emerge in the dim light, walking slowly across the wet sand. Their forms delicate yet unmistakable. Those who catch a glimpse often describe a fleeting sense of presence. Only for the figures to vanish when approached. As if aware of human eyes upon them. The legends surrounding Cannon Beach are deeply rooted in its history. First by indigenous peoples who respected the land and sea. Over time, settlers arrived, building homes and communities along the coast. Tales of tragic events and unexplained disappearances have been passed down through generations, giving rise to a sense that the land itself remembers what has occurred upon it. Some believe the spirits that linger are echoes of lives interrupted, wandering the sands in search of something lost. Visitors often report a peculiar stillness at dusk. The usual sounds of seagulls and waves take on an eerie quality. As though nature itself is holding its breath. A cold breeze might drift across the shoreline, carrying the faint scent of salt and seaweed. And with it, the sensation that unseen eyes are watching. Footsteps are sometimes heard on empty stretches of sand. A rhythm that seems too deliberate to belong solely to the wind. The apparitions of Cannon Beach are rarely threatening. They are described more as gentle presences, moving with quiet purpose along the water's edge. Some figures are seen standing near the base of Haystack Rock, emerging from the mist that often rolls in from the ocean. Others are glimpsed near the base of Haystack Rock, emerging from the mist that often rolls in from the ocean. Their fleeting appearances leave witnesses with a mix of curiosity and unease, a reminder that the boundary between the natural and the supernatural can be fragile and uncertain. Many who explore the beach after dark describe an inexplicable feeling of connection to the past. The sand beneath their feet carries memories, and the wind seems to whisper stories of those who once walked here. Photographs taken at twilight sometimes capture anomalous shapes or shadows that were not visible at the time. These glimpses serve to reinforce the belief that Cannon Beach is more than just a scenic destination, it is a place where the living and the departed share space. Even during daylight, the coastline retains an air of mystery. Haystack Rock stands as a sentinel over the beach, a silent witness to centuries of human activity. The rocks and cliffs along the shore create natural alcoves where shadows play and fog can linger, adding to the sense that something unseen is present. Tide pools glisten in the sunlight, yet in certain angles and reflections, observers sometimes perceive figures that seem to watch from just beyond reach. The haunting is most pronounced near the less traveled areas of the beach. Narrow stretches of sand framed by cliffs or rock formations often feel removed from time, isolated despite the presence of nearby visitors. Here, ghostly figures may appear in pairs or alone, walking along the water or pausing to look inland. The movement is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it is enough to make observers pause and question what they have seen. Local residents have long respected the stories of Cannon Beach. Fishermen, shop owners, and longtime inhabitants speak of the apparitions with reverence, cautioning that the spirits are to be observed quietly and without interference. The legends are shared as part of the community's heritage. A reminder that this land is imbued with memory and that the ocean has witnessed countless stories, both joyous and sorrowful, over the centuries. The experience of Cannon Beach at twilight is immersive, blending the sensory beauty of the coast with the intangible presence of the past. Witnesses often feel that the figures are tied to moments long gone, their movements echoing lives interrupted or moments of contemplation frozen in time. The combination of natural majesty and spectral presence creates an atmosphere that is both enchanting and haunting, a place where every ripple of water and shift of shadow carries the weight of history. For those who walk the sands in quiet reflection, the ghostly figures of Cannon Beach offer a poignant reminder that beauty and mystery coexist. The ocean continues its eternal rhythm, and the wind carries whispers of those who have gone before. Visitors leave with stories and impressions, a sense that the beach is alive with more than just natural forces, and that the memories of the past linger, woven into the very fabric of sand, rock, and surf. Cannon Beach is a destination of contrasts, where breathtaking scenery meets the subtle persistence of the unknown. Haystack Rock towers above the shoreline, and the waves roll endlessly toward the sand. Yet ghostly figures remain, quietly wandering the twilight hours. The beach is a place of reflection and mystery, where the living and the spectral intersect, and where the beauty of the Pacific coast is forever intertwined with the echoes of history and the lingering presence of those who have not fully departed. Cape Hatteras rises from the Atlantic, a place where land meets sea in a meeting of beauty and danger. Known as part of the graveyard of the Atlantic, the waters here have claimed countless vessels over centuries. The shifting sands, hidden shoals, and sudden storms have created a coastline both mesmerizing and perilous. Yet beyond the natural challenges, there is a history that whispers through the wind and lingers on the surf, a legacy of those lost to the sea. Visitors to Cape Hatteras often speak of an uncanny feeling, a sensation that the beach and waters hold memories beyond the ordinary. On foggy mornings or storm-laden evenings, some report seeing figures walking along the surf, their forms fleeting and ethereal. They appear as shadows against the waves, sometimes moving with purpose, sometimes drifting aimlessly, as if bound to the waters that claimed them. The figures vanish when approached, leaving only the echo of their passage and a cold, inexplicable chill in the air. The soundscape of the Cape can be deceptive. Beneath the natural rhythm of crashing waves, witnesses have reported hearing ghostly whistles. Mournful calls carried by the wind. These sounds mimic the foghorns of old ships, or the cries of sailors lost in tempestuous waters. Their voices carried back from another time. Even when the beach is empty, the presence of these sounds can make one feel watched. As though the line between the living and the lost is thinner here than anywhere else along the coast. The shoreline itself seems alive with history. Sand dunes shift and settle as if breathing. And the surf can change suddenly, revealing fragments of wreckage long hidden. Pieces of ship timber, rusted metal, and the occasional personal artifact hint at stories of tragedy and survival. For those sensitive to the unusual, these remnants are more than relics. They are silent witnesses, echoing the lives and fates of those who came before. Even in the brightest daylight, the Cape holds its secrets. Shadows appear where none should be, stretching across sand and water in unnatural ways. Some have felt a presence just beyond their vision, a fleeting awareness of something moving at the edge of perception. Photographs taken along the beach occasionally capture anomalies, misty shapes or figures just out of focus, reinforcing the idea that the spirits of the lost are never truly gone. Local stories deepen the aura of mystery. Tales of shipwrecks, sudden storms, and vanished fishermen have been passed down through generations. Each account adds layers to the collective memory of the Cape, a tapestry woven from both documented history and the inexplicable experiences of those who walk its sands. Visitors often remark on the heavy silence after a storm, the way the wind carries a subtle undertone, a murmuring that seems to speak of loss, warning, and remembrance. The waters of Cape Hatteras are both inviting and treacherous. Swimmers and boaters are warned of shifting currents and hidden shoals. Yet the ocean's pull remains undeniable. Those drawn to its beauty often find themselves confronting an unseen presence. A lingering energy that cannot be measured or contained. Some say it is the souls of sailors seeking passage. Others believe it is the imprint of tragedy itself, etched into the very environment over centuries. Evenings at the Cape are particularly evocative. The figures walking the surf become more defined in the dim glow. Their movements are graceful yet impossible, leaving an impression of both longing and sorrow. The whispers carried on the wind grow more distinct. Calling names, recounting unseen stories, or simply sighing with the weight of loss. Cape Hatteras is a place of contrasts. The sun and sand, the waves and wind, coexist with shadows and whispers from the past. Each visitor brings their own curiosity. And each encounter adds to the living narrative of the Cape. The spirits of the lost sailors and shipwrecked passengers are said to linger here, walking the line between memory and reality, inviting reflection on the power of the ocean and the fragility of life. Walking along the shore is an experience both humbling and unsettling. The beach is a space where history, legend, and the unknown converge. The waves carry stories of courage, misfortune, and lingering presence. And the wind seems to echo voices from another era. Those who listen closely may hear footsteps in the sand, whistles across the surf, and feel the gentle brush of unseen hands. Reminders that the Cape Hatteras coastline is more than a scenic landscape, it is a doorway to the past, alive with the echoes of those who never returned. Cape Hatteras endures as a place of mystery, a place where the sea holds both beauty and sorrow. The spirits of shipwrecked sailors walk the surf and fade into mist, and the whispers of the lost mingle with the sound of waves. The whispers of the lost mingle with the sound of waves. For those who venture to this stretch of North Carolina coast, every step carries the potential for an encounter with history. With the unexplained, and with the lingering presence of the graveyard of the Atlantic. The Cape reminds us that some places are marked not just by geography, but by memory, legend, and the quiet persistence of souls forever tied to the land and sea. Virginia Beach stretches along the Atlantic coastline, a place where sunlit days meet restless waters. The ocean has long been a source of life and livelihood, but beneath its waves lies a history tinged with tragedy. Stories of drowning victims and mysterious disappearances have lingered here for generations, whispered among locals and visitors who sense that the waters hold more than meets the eye. The shoreline itself is wide and inviting, the sand shifting beneath each step. Waves lap rhythmically against the coast, carrying the scent of salt and seaweed. And the calls of gulls pierce the air. They appear at the edges of vision, vanishing when approached, leaving only the sound of the wind and the sea in their wake. The piers stand as monuments to human endeavor, stretching into the Atlantic like fingers reaching for the horizon. At night, they take on a different character, the wood dark and slick, the water below restless. Visitors walking these structures have spoken of sudden chills and the sensation of being watched. Shapes form at the far end, lingering where the lights fade, as if the spirits of those lost to the sea are retracing steps never completed in life. Breakwaters, built to protect the shore from the relentless push of waves, hold their own mysteries. Rocks slick with tide pools and algae appear ordinary during the day, yet in low light, they seem to harbor movement. Figures have been glimpsed stepping along the rocks, watching from just beyond the reach of lamps. Some claim to hear soft cries carried on the wind, voices that rise and fall like the tides, faint yet persistent, echoing stories of lives interrupted by sudden misfortune. Fog often drifts in from the ocean, thickening the atmosphere and muffling sound. Through the haze, familiar spaces become otherworldly landscapes where shadows take on life. Through the haze, faint shapes are sometimes seen along the shore, fleeting and indistinct. The combination of fog, darkness, and the natural sounds of the sea creates an environment in which the boundary between the living and the lost feels fragile, as if one might step too far and enter a realm beyond the ordinary. Visitors have reported the sensation of footsteps behind them when walking alone along the boardwalk or the edge of the sand. The ocean roars softly, waves crashing rhythmically against pilings, masking the presence of what might be phantom travelers. Chairs, benches, and railings sometimes feel charged with unseen energy, a subtle vibration in the air that hints at presences just out of reach. Even without clear sight, these moments create an unmistakable sense of connection to the past. The history of Virginia Beach is intertwined with the sea. Countless lives have been claimed by the ocean, from fishermen swept off their boats to swimmers caught in currents. The stories of those who vanished without trace have grown into legends, passed down through generations. Ghostly figures along the piers and breakwaters may be the echoes of these souls, bound to the waters that took them, returning to the shore in silent repetition. During the day, the beach retains a quieter energy. Yet the hints of the past remain. Reflections in the wet sand sometimes appear as shapes moving against the tide. Small disturbances ripple across the surface of the water with no apparent cause. A reminder that the ocean can hold secrets beyond comprehension. Even on bright, sunny days, the sensation that something unseen is present lingers. A quiet testament to the beach's haunted reputation. At night, the scene transforms completely. Streetlights and lamps along the boardwalk cast long shadows, and the sound of the waves becomes more pronounced, each crash a punctuation in the darkness. Figures occasionally appear along the waterline, motionless or slowly pacing. Some are glimpsed only briefly, their forms dissolving into mist and moonlight. Others seem to trace the lines of the shore, leaving impressions on the imagination long after they vanish. The sense of being watched is often accompanied by emotional resonance. A feeling of melancholy that suffuses the air. The ocean remembers every tragedy. And the beach becomes a stage for memories that cannot rest. Whether it is a faint cry, a fleeting silhouette, or a sudden gust of wind that carries the scent of the sea, visitors cannot ignore the impression that Virginia Beach is alive with echoes of its past. Walkers along the piers, surfers in the waves, or evening strollers on the sand often report small anomalies that hint at something beyond the ordinary. A shadow out of place, a sudden chill, or the fleeting sense of presence can spark a heightened awareness of the unseen. The beach itself becomes a liminal space, where natural beauty coexists with the persistent whisper of history, and where the spirits of the lost continue to interact with the living in subtle and unforgettable ways. Virginia Beach is more. A place where the memories of the past remain embedded in the sands and waters. The subtle disturbances along breakwaters, and the persistent echo of voices in the night, serve as reminders of the lives intertwined with these shores. Every visit is a chance to witness the interplay of beauty and mystery, where the Atlantic Ocean keeps its secrets, and the shoreline preserves the stories of those who never returned. Here, the past is never fully gone. The presence of what has been lost is felt. A place where each visitor becomes part of an ongoing story, walking among echoes of tragedy and glimpses of the unseen. Where the ocean's restless spirit continues to roam freely along the shore. The Outer Banks of North Carolina are known for their windswept dunes, endless stretches of sand, and the restless waters of the Atlantic Ocean. By day, the beaches are filled with sunbathers, kite flyers, and families enjoying the surf. Yet as the sun dips toward the horizon, the atmosphere changes. And the veil between the ordinary and the unexplained seems to thin. Visitors walking along the shoreline during quiet hours sometimes notice figures emerging from the mist that drifts across the sand. These are fleeting shapes, often pale and indistinct, moving slowly as if searching for something lost. Many report seeing the forms of sailors in old uniforms, their expressions unreadable, standing at the edge of the water before vanishing into the fog. Children's figures are also seen, small and unsteady, wandering near dunes or laughing softly with no one near. These appearances are brief, yet leave a lasting impression on those who witness them. The soundscape of the Outer Banks contributes to the sense of the uncanny. Even when the beach is empty, footsteps can be heard echoing across the sand, sometimes approaching from behind, then fading away. Low cries and murmurs rise and fall with the wind, indistinct but hauntingly human. Visitors often describe the experience as both eerie and captivating, a feeling that the land itself is alive with memory and history, calling attention to lives that were once here. The mist that rolls in from the ocean seems to heighten these experiences. Shapes move within it, sometimes seen just long enough to register as human before dissolving into nothingness. The boundary between the living and the spectral blurs, leaving an unsettling awareness that the beach is shared with presences not of this world. Footprints sometimes appear along the sand where no one has walked, or disappear upon closer inspection, as though erased by invisible hands. These impressions are subtle, easily mistaken for ordinary marks. Yet they often follow patterns or lead toward the mist, enhancing the sense of being observed. The tides carry a rhythm that seems to echo with memory. Waves rising and falling as though in response to the events and presences long gone. Visitors have described moments when the mist thickens suddenly, obscuring familiar landmarks and making navigation difficult. Shadows form in the haze, indistinct at first, then clearer, appearing to move along the water or across the dunes. The figures never approach directly but linger at the periphery of vision, leaving witnesses with the uneasy sensation that they are being watched, studied, or silently beckoned. Old structures along the outer banks add to the atmosphere. Lighthouses, abandoned cottages, and the remnants of shipwreck seem to hold echoes of the past. Some visitors report hearing the creaking of boards or faint knocking from within walls where no one resides. Others describe distant voices, whispers that rise and fall, often carrying a tone of longing or warning. These sounds blend naturally with the environment, making it difficult to discern the ordinary from the extraordinary. The stories of lost sailors and children are interwoven with the history of the Outer Banks. Shipwrecks and maritime tragedies have been recorded for centuries, leaving behind a legacy that feels tangible to those who walk the beaches at night. Children lost to storms or accidents are said to return, playful yet somber, wandering near dunes or peering from the edges of the mist. The figures of sailors often appear as sentinels along the shoreline, pausing as if recalling voyages long ended. Even during the calmest moments, there is a sense of presence. The wind carries soft echoes, the waves whisper against the shore, and the sand bears marks of invisible footsteps. Visitors speak of sudden chills, the feeling of unseen eyes tracking their movements, and fleeting glimpses of figures that vanish when approached. These experiences are subtle, never overtly threatening, yet they leave a lasting awareness of the lingering past. The Outer Banks encourage quiet observation. Walkers who move slowly and attentively often report the most vivid encounters. Feeling the rhythm of the beach and the movement of mist as if it were alive. The interplay of sand, water, fog, and wind creates a canvas upon which these ephemeral figures appear. Hinting at stories untold, lives remembered, and mysteries that remain unsolved. By sunrise, the beach returns to its familiar state. The mist lifts, shadows recede, and the waves appear ordinary once more. Yet those who have experienced the night leave with an impression of the Outer Banks that goes beyond natural beauty. The shore, the dunes, and the restless ocean carry a memory, a presence that whispers in the wind and lingers in the heart. The figures of lost sailors and children, the soft cries, and the echoing footsteps are more than legend. They are a part of the living story of the Outer Banks, a reminder that history is never truly gone. And that some moments, some lives, leave traces that continue to ripple across time. Walking these beaches, one can feel the weight of the past and the subtle brush of the unexplained. A haunting yet captivating testament to the mysteries hidden along the North Carolina shoreline. Malibu Beach stretches along the California coastline with waves that glisten under the sun and cliffs that rise dramatically from the shore. The beauty of this coastline has long attracted visitors, from sun-seekers to those drawn by the quiet power of the ocean. Yet beneath the golden sands and rolling surf, stories persist of ghostly sightings and unexplained events that have intrigued locals and travelers for generations. Among the most enduring tales are those of women in white, figures seen along the cliffs overlooking the ocean. These apparitions appear most often in the late afternoon or twilight, when the sun casts long shadows over the cliffs and the horizon glows with fading light. Observers describe the figures as ethereal, their forms delicate and flowing, often standing silently as if watching the waves below. When approached, they vanish as if dissolved into the air, leaving only the sound of the wind and the surf as evidence of their presence. The legends surrounding Malibu Beach are deeply rooted in its history. Long before modern development, the area was home to native peoples who revered the land and sea. Later, settlers and travelers contributed their own stories of loss and mystery. Tales of women who met untimely ends along the cliffs, whether by accident or despair, have been passed down through generations. These stories suggest that the spirits lingering here are tied to moments of sorrow and unfinished business, their appearances a reminder of the lives once intertwined with this rugged coastline. Visitors often notice a peculiar stillness when the apparitions are sighted. The usual sounds of gulls and crashing waves seem to fade, replaced by a sense of expectancy, as though the cliffs themselves are holding their breath. Some report feeling a chill despite warm air, or a sudden tug at the edge of perception, as if reality itself has shifted. Footsteps echo where no one walks, and the wind carries whispers that seem almost intentional, words just beyond comprehension. The figures in white are rarely threatening. Their presence is quiet, observant, and sorrowful. Witnesses have seen them pause at the cliff's edge, their gaze drawn to the endless expanse of ocean below. Or move gracefully along narrow paths, disappearing around corners of rock or into the glow of fading light. Their movements are slow and deliberate, leaving those who see them with a sense of wonder, mingled with unease. At night, the cliffs take on a different character. Moonlight glances off the ocean, and shadows dance across the rocky outcroppings. It is during these hours that the figures are reported most frequently, gliding along the high edges or appearing in the distance against the sky. Some visitors describe a feeling of being observed, a sensation that unseen eyes are tracing their movements even in the absence of a figure. Others speak of hearing soft whispers carried by the breeze, indistinct but hauntingly human, adding to the mystery of Malibu Beach after dark. Others speak of hearing soft whispers carried by the breeze, indistinct but hauntingly human, adding to the mystery of Malibu Beach after dark. The natural beauty of the area contributes to the sense of the supernatural. The cliffs provide vantage points where the ocean and sky meet, creating a backdrop both inspiring and haunting. Tide pools glimmer with reflections, and the waves roll ceaselessly onto the sand, masking sounds and movements that cannot be explained. Rocks and coves create natural alcoves where shadows gather, making it easy for visitors to imagine figures moving among them, lingering at the edges of perception. Local residents have long shared stories of these sightings. Fishermen, lifeguards, and longtime beachgoers speak of the apparitions with quiet reverence, cautioning. Their appearances are seen as part of the history and memory of the coastline, a reminder. The ocean carries echoes of the past, and the cliffs preserve stories that are intangible yet persistent. Those who walk the cliffs at dusk or night often feel a profound connection to both the land and the unseen. The figures in white are not merely shadows, they are expressions of the past, lingering at the boundary between memory and reality. Visitors leave with stories, photographs, and impressions that hint at the presence of something beyond the ordinary. A subtle awareness that Malibu Beach is alive with more than natural forces. Malibu Beach is a place of contrasts. Sunlit sands and rugged cliffs meet the quiet persistence of ghostly figures. The waves continue their eternal rhythm, and the wind carries the scent of salt and sand, yet the women in white remain, silent witnesses to the history of the land and the passage of countless souls. Visitors return with a sense of awe, realizing that the beauty of the coastline is inseparable from the mysteries it holds, and that Malibu Beach, at twilight and beyond, is a place where the living and the spectral coexist. The presence of the apparitions transforms the experience of Malibu Beach, adding layers of reflection and mystery to an already stunning landscape. Twilight walks along the cliffs reveal glimpses of the past, and the ocean continues its endless motion beneath the watchful eyes of unseen observers. Every shifting shadow, every ripple of water, and every gust of wind carries the weight of history, inviting visitors to consider the stories that linger here and the quiet, enduring presence of the women in white along the cliffs of Malibu. Seaside Beach stretches along the Oregon coast, where the waves meet the sand in a rhythmic dance that has continued for centuries. The coastline is known for its dense fog, rolling in from the ocean and cloaking the shore in a veil of mystery. Visitors often describe a sense of otherworldliness, a feeling that the beach holds memories far older than its visible landscape. As the first light of dawn touches the water, some report seeing figures moving along the shoreline. They appear briefly, emerging from the mist before fading back into it, leaving only footprints that vanish as if the sand itself refuses to hold them. The figures are often described as ethereal. Their movements slow and deliberate, as if bound by a purpose known only to them. Observers feel a simultaneous sense of awe and unease, drawn by the beauty of the scene, and unsettled by the inexplicable presence. The soundscape of Seaside Beach enhances the eerie atmosphere. Waves crash against the shore with a steady rhythm, masking subtle whispers carried on the wind. Some visitors report hearing distant footsteps echoing over the sand, voices that rise and fall like the tide, and faint laughter that disappears when approached. The fog amplifies these sounds, making them seem closer than they are, as though the unseen inhabitants of the beach are moving among the living. Local lore adds layers to the mystery. Stories of shipwrecks, lost fishermen, and vanished travelers have been passed down for generations. The beach has long been a place where the boundary between reality and the supernatural is said to thin. Each tale adds a new thread to the tapestry of Seaside Beach, creating a collective memory that lingers as strongly as the mist that blankets the coast. Visitors often sense that these are not just stories, but echoes of past events embedded in the environment itself. Even in daylight, the fog can roll in suddenly, obscuring the sun and turning the horizon into a seamless expanse of gray. In these moments, the figures become more distinct. Some witnesses describe seeing shadowy silhouettes of men and women, their outlines blurred by the moisture in the air, walking along the water with a purpose that defies explanation. They appear momentarily in the morning light before dissolving into the fog, leaving the observer with an unforgettable impression and a heightened awareness of the unseen. The beach's physical environment seems to respond to these occurrences. Cold gusts move unpredictably through dunes and along the cliffs, chilling the skin even on warm mornings. The sand can shift underfoot, creating impressions that resemble footprints, only to vanish when examined closely. Some have seen shapes forming in the mist, not quite human, not entirely shadow, yet suggesting an intelligence or awareness that transcends the natural world. Visitors often remark on the contrast between the beauty and the unease of Seaside Beach. The sunlight glimmers off the waves, seagulls will overhead, and the scent of salt and seaweed fills the air, all while shadows linger just at the edge of perception. The fog, the sounds, and the fleeting apparitions combine to create an atmosphere that is both captivating and haunting. Evenings bring a new dimension to the mystery. The fog thickens, and the silhouettes on the beach appear more frequently and with greater clarity. Visitors report seeing figures that resemble fishermen from decades past, or individuals in clothing from another era, standing at the edge of the water or walking slowly across the dunes. Their presence feels palpable, a silent reminder of the stories and tragedies that have unfolded along this stretch of coast. Seaside Beach also holds an emotional resonance for those who encounter the phenomena. Witnesses often describe a profound sense of melancholy, as if the air itself carries memories of sorrow, longing, and unfinished business. The whispers and footsteps are never threatening, but they are insistent, reminding those present that the past has not fully released its hold. The connection between the living and the unseen is subtle, yet unmistakable, leaving an impression that endures long after visitors leave the shore. The beach is a place of reflection as well as mystery. Walking along the water's edge, one cannot help but consider the lives that have been touched by this coastline. The fog, the figures, and the ephemeral sounds all serve as reminders that some places retain the energy of the past. Seaside Beach is more than sand and surf, it is a living archive of experiences, some joyful, some tragic, and some inexplicable. Each visitor becomes part of its ongoing story, contributing to the atmosphere of wonder and unease that defines this unique stretch of Oregon coast. As the day progresses, the fog often lifts, revealing the natural beauty of the dunes, cliffs, and waves. Yet even when the mist clears, the sense of something beyond the ordinary remains. The shadows, whispers, and fleeting figures leave a mark on the imagination, creating a lasting impression of a place where the boundaries between reality and the unknown are fluid. Seaside Beach stands as a testament to the enduring mystery of the Oregon coast, a place where the living and the unseen coexist, and where every dawn brings the possibility of encountering the inexplicable. For those who walk the sands at Seaside Beach, each visit is both an exploration and an experience. The fog, the whispering wind, and the figures along the water remind us that some places are steeped in history and memory, carrying the weight of countless lives and untold stories. It is a beach of beauty, mystery, and lingering presence, a place where the extraordinary feels just a step away from the ordinary. Every wave, every gust of wind, and every shadow is a subtle invitation to witness the unseen, and to reflect on the connection between the natural world and the echoes of the past. Cape Cod Beach stretches along the Massachusetts coastline, a landscape shaped by wind, sand, and the relentless pull of the Atlantic Ocean. Its dunes rise and fall like frozen waves, creating a terrain that seems alive with memory. Beneath the beauty lies a history marked by shipwrecks, storms, and lives claimed by the sea, leaving behind a presence that many claim is still felt along the shore. Visitors walking along the sand often speak of a subtle feeling of being watched. A chill sweeps across the dunes, carrying with it the whisper of wind that seems more deliberate than natural. Shapes appear at the edge of vision, vanishing when looked at directly, as if the spirits of those lost at sea are wandering, replaying moments cut short by tragedy. The beach itself is vast, stretching endlessly toward the horizon, with the water shimmering under the sun. With the water shimmering under the sun or reflecting the moonlight in softer hours. Shipwrecks from centuries past litter the coastline in memory. Some marked on maps, others fading into legend. These lost vessels have left behind echoes, a resonance that persists in the rhythm of the waves. The crunch of sand beneath footsteps, and the sudden gusts of wind that seem to carry whispers. These lost vessels have left behind echoes, a resonance that persists in the rhythm of the waves, the crunch of sand beneath footsteps, and the sudden gusts of wind that seem to carry whispers. Dunes provide both beauty and concealment, their tall grasses swaying in unison with the wind. They appear as if retracing steps never completed, glimpsed only in the corner of the eye. The effect is fleeting, yet unmistakable, leaving a lingering awareness that the past has not fully let go. At the shoreline, the ocean presents both tranquility and menace. Waves crash and retreat in an endless cycle, masking the sounds of the past beneath their constant motion. Some claim to hear voices over the roar of the surf. Fragments of conversation that rise and fade with the tide. The wind carries them across the sand, faint but unmistakable. As though the beach itself remembers each life lost to the water. The piers and small coves of Cape Cod provide settings where stories of the supernatural intensify. Visitors often speak of sudden chills in otherwise calm moments, or of footsteps echoing along empty stretches of boardwalk. Chairs and driftwood seem to shift unexpectedly, responding to presences unseen. Even in broad daylight, the sense that the environment is alive with memory can be disorienting. As if the dunes themselves hold the weight of countless untold stories. Fog frequently rolls in from the Atlantic, enveloping the beach in soft gray and muting colors and sound. Visibility diminishes, and familiar landmarks transform into ghostly forms. In these moments, visitors describe seeing figures in the fog, moving deliberately yet without urgency, pausing as if observing those who have entered their domain. The fog amplifies the sense of being in a liminal space, between the living and the echoes of the past. At night, the experience deepens. The moon reflects on the water, and shadows stretch unnaturally across the dunes. Lights from nearby towns or passing boats glimmer like distant stars, but along the shore, darkness dominates. Figures have been reported walking along the wet sand, their forms dissolving into mist as they approach. Whispers carried on the breeze speak of loss and longing, of lives intertwined with the unforgiving sea. The presence is not always malevolent, but it is persistent. Many who visit Cape Cod Beach feel an inexplicable awareness, an emotional resonance that seems to emanate from the land and water alike. Ghostly forms, fleeting sounds, and subtle disturbances all suggest that the history of this place is far from silent. Those who pause long enough often report sensing a connection to lives long past, as if the beach itself is a living memory, preserving fragments of time through wind, sand, and sea. Even during the day, shadows play along the dunes in unusual patterns. And waves leave traces in the sand that resemble more than natural markings. It is easy to imagine the figures of shipwrecked sailors or wandering souls among the grasses. Their presence woven into the environment. A sudden gust of wind may carry a whisper. Or a footstep may sound on a deserted stretch of sand. Moments that create a bridge between the living and those who linger still. Cape Cod Beach is a place of contrasts. Its natural beauty draws visitors seeking serenity. Yet its history and lingering spirits create an undercurrent of mystery. Every step along the sand, every glance toward the dunes, becomes a small act of observation in a space where the past and present intersect. It is a beach where nature and memory converge. Where the ocean holds both life and echoes of loss. And where each visitor becomes part of the ongoing story of this haunted coastline. The dunes, the water, and the wind all participate in keeping the stories alive. Figures glimpsed at the edge of vision, whispers carried across the sand. And the subtle sense of presence are all reminders that Cape Cod Beach is more than a destination. It is a threshold, a liminal space where history breathes through the landscape. And the spirits of the lost continue to wander, ever part of the shifting, restless shore. Where history breathes through the landscape and the spirits of the lost continue to wander. Ever part of the shifting, restless shore. Huntington Beach is known for its sunlit shores, bustling piers, and the rhythmic crash of waves along the coastline. By day, it is filled with surfers, families, and the hum of summer life. Yet when night falls, the atmosphere changes, and whispers of the past seem to drift along the sand and wooden walkways, casting the familiar landscape in an otherworldly light. Locals have long reported seeing shadowy figures along the piers after dark. These shapes are often indistinct at first, glimpsed from the corner of the eye. Glimpsed from the corner of the eye, moving slowly as though observing the world of the living from a distance. Some appear to linger at the edge of the wooden planks. Their forms dissolving into the darkness when approached. Leaving only a chill in the air and the sense of being watched. Along the empty shoreline, ghostly children are sometimes seen playing. They run through the sand, their laughter faint and fleeting, blending with the whisper of waves. These spectral figures are never threatening, yet they leave an indelible mark on those who witness them. A reminder of lives that once moved through the same spaces. The soundscape of Huntington Beach at night contributes to the haunting ambience. Even when the pier is deserted, creaks echo from the wood beneath footsteps that do not belong to anyone present. The wind carries whispers, soft and incomprehensible, rising and falling as though responding to the movement of the tide. The ocean itself seems to hum with memory, waves lapping rhythmically, as if guarding the stories of the past. Mist and fog occasionally roll in from the water, adding an ethereal quality to the shoreline. Figures seem to emerge from the haze, appearing for a fleeting moment before dissolving into the night. Shadows stretch along the sand and pier, moving independently of any light source, heightening the sense that the environment itself is alive with unseen presences. Some visitors report feeling sudden chills or the brushing of invisible hands when walking alone along the beach. Others describe the sensation of eyes upon them, a subtle pressure or awareness that vanishes when they turn to look. Footprints appear and disappear in the sand, leaving a trail that hints at the movement of figures who are no longer bound by the physical world. The piers themselves are steeped in history, with decades of use and countless stories etched into the wooden beams. It is said that some of the figures are the spirits of workers who spent their lives maintaining the piers, still tending to the structures in a spectral routine. The children may be echoes of families who once frequented the beach. Their joy frozen in time and replayed on quiet nights. Observers often note that the phenomena are subtle rather than dramatic. A shadow that lingers too long, A fleeting laugh carried on the wind. Or the faint impression of a presence nearby. Can be enough to unsettle even the most skeptical visitor. The interplay of sand, surf, and mist creates a canvas on which these glimpses of the past appear, almost like a memory projected onto the present. Walking the shoreline at night requires patience and attention. Those who move slowly, absorbing the rhythm of the waves and the patterns of shadows, are often rewarded with the most vivid experiences. The wind, the creaking wood, and the distant murmur of water all contribute to the feeling that Huntington Beach is more than a place of sun and surf. It is a space where memory lingers, and where the veil between past and present grows thin. By the time dawn breaks, the spectral visitors retreat. The children vanish. The shadowy figures dissolve. And the pier returns to its daytime life. Yet the memory of the night remains with those who witnessed it. A reminder that Huntington Beach holds layers of history, lives intertwined with its sands and waters. And mysteries that continue to ripple across time. The experience of the beach at night is both haunting and beautiful. The laughter of children. The movements of figures along the piers. And the subtle pressures of unseen presences all serve as a testament to the enduring spirit of Huntington Beach. Visitors leave the shoreline with a sense of wonder and unease, aware that the place they walked is shared with echoes of the past. The wind carries them out to sea. The sand bears silent marks. And the waves continue to whisper the stories of those who remain, unseen yet ever present. Along the California coast. Long Beach stretches along the Washington coastline, a place of windswept sand and relentless waves. The vast shoreline carries an air of quiet solitude, and the ocean extends endlessly toward the horizon, reflecting both sunlight and moonlight in a constant dance of motion. Beneath its natural beauty, the area holds stories of tragedy, accidents, and drownings. Events that continue to shape the atmosphere of the coast and the experiences of those who visit. Many visitors have reported strange occurrences, beginning with faint lights offshore that appear and vanish without explanation. These lights are often described as small, glowing orbs hovering just above the water, moving in ways that defy natural currents. Some say the lights flicker like lanterns or candles, casting an eerie glow across the waves, drawing the attention of observers who feel an inexplicable connection to the sea. Along the sand, apparitions are said to appear at twilight or during the quiet hours of the night. Figures emerge near the shoreline, sometimes walking along the surf or standing silently at the edge of the waves. These ghostly presences are often fleeting, vanishing when approached, leaving behind only the sound of wind and the rhythmic crash of the ocean. Witnesses report a chill in the air, a feeling of being watched, or a sudden sense of unease that cannot be explained by the natural elements alone. The history of Long Beach is interwoven with the ocean and its dangers. Fishermen, travelers, and residents have long navigated the treacherous waters. And many have been lost to storms, shifting tides, or accidents along the shore. Each tragedy seems to have left an imprint, as if the coastline itself remembers the lives claimed by the sea. Locals speak in hushed tones about these occurrences, warning visitors to respect the ocean and the stories that linger with each tide. Those who spend time on the beach at night often notice the change in atmosphere. The wind moves differently, carrying whispers that seem like echoes from the past. Shadows shift across the dunes in ways that feel intentional, as if something unseen is observing. Footsteps are heard along the sand, sometimes matching the visitor's pace and sometimes moving independently, creating an unsettling sense of presence. The apparitions themselves vary in appearance. Some are simple silhouettes, human in shape but lacking distinct features. Others seem more solid, clothed in garments from decades past, walking the shoreline as though retracing familiar paths. Visitors describe feelings of sorrow and longing emanating from these figures, as if the ghosts are tethered to the coast by memories of lives interrupted or cut short. Strange lights continue to play a role in the legends of Long Beach. These orbs are seen not only offshore but occasionally above the dunes, moving silently and inexplicably. Some theorize that they are manifestations of lost souls, others believe they are remnants of lanterns from past shipwrecks or fishing boats. Regardless of the explanation, the effect is the same: a profound sense of mystery that envelopes the beach after dark. The natural environment amplifies these experiences. The sound of waves crashing against the sand. The whisper of wind through beach grasses. And the rhythmic ebb and flow of tides. All create a sensory backdrop that heightens awareness. Small changes in light. The glint of moonlight on water. Or a sudden movement along the dunes. Can take on heightened significance. Allowing the mind to perceive forms and presences that are otherwise imperceptible. Visitors who spend long hours on the beach at night often describe a deep connection to the past. Every shift of the waves and every gust of wind carries the weight of history and loss. Apparitions appear briefly, then dissolve into the darkness, leaving only memory and reflection. Some say that the spirits linger to warn, to watch over the living, or simply to remain near the waters they once knew in life. Despite these ghostly tales, Long Beach remains a place of beauty and natural wonder. The striking contrast between the oceana's serenity and the eerie presence of unseen figures adds a layer of intrigue to the coastline. Walks along the shore invite contemplation of life, loss, and the lingering mysteries of the world. The stories of lights and apparitions do not diminish the beauty of the place. Instead, they enrich it, reminding visitors that every beach, every wave, and every grain of sand carries echoes of the past. Long Beach, Washington, is more than a stretch of sand and surf. It is a place where the living and the spectral coexist. Where the ocean remembers the tragedies and joys of those who came before. Those who witness the lights offshore, or glimpse figures near the water, leave with a sense of awe and reverence. The beach continues its timeless rhythm, the waves washing against the shore. And the wind carrying whispers of stories that have never fully ended. Inviting each visitor to ponder the mysteries that linger along the Washington coastline. Nantucket Beach stretches along the Massachusetts coastline, a place of shifting sands, rolling waves, and winds that carry the echoes of centuries past. The island has long been associated with maritime history, whaling ships, and seafaring legends that have shaped the culture and stories of the region. Amid the beauty of its beaches and dunes, there exists an undercurrent of mystery, a sense that the past has left its mark in more than just memories. Visitors to the beach often describe a feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes follow each step along the shore. The mist rolls in from the Atlantic, softening the horizon and turning familiar landmarks into ghostly silhouettes. It is within this fog that many have reported their first encounters with the inexplicable. Figures appear along the dunes, standing in silence, sometimes in the uniform of sailors from bygone eras. They move slowly, deliberately, before dissolving into the mist as if the wind itself carries them away. They dissolve into the mist as if the wind itself carries them away. The soundscape of Nantucket Beach enhances the otherworldly atmosphere. The crashing waves provide a steady rhythm, yet occasional sounds rise above the surf. Some report distant footsteps on the sand that vanish when approached. Whispers, faint and almost imperceptible, seem to drift from the dunes or the water itself. The fog carries these sounds in ways that make them seem close and yet unreachable, leaving witnesses with a heightened awareness of the unseen. Local lore enriches the enigmatic aura of the beach. Stories of ghost ships drifting offshore, sailors lost to the sea, and ships wrecked on hidden shoals have been passed down through generations. The tales suggest that the spirits of the seafarers linger, unable to leave the waters they once traversed. Some claim that on foggy mornings or moonlit nights, the spectral forms of vessels appear just beyond the breakers, moving silently, their sails full though the wind is calm. These accounts, whether believed or not, create a palpable tension that lingers along the shoreline. The dunes themselves seem alive with the memories of the past. Footprints appear and disappear with the tide, sometimes forming paths that lead toward the water and then vanish abruptly. Witnesses have described the sensation of cold gusts brushing against their skin, even on warm days, as though the spirits of those lost at sea reach out from the fog. Shadowy figures emerge on the crests of dunes, observing the living before fading from view, leaving only the sound of the waves and the rustling of grasses behind. Even during daylight hours, the mist can roll in suddenly, transforming the familiar into the mysterious. Shapes emerge along the beach, sailors in period uniforms, women in old dresses, and children playing unseen gamisa. Then vanish before a second glance can confirm their presence. It is a place where the natural world and the echoes of history intersect. Where the line between reality and the supernatural feels thin. The beach also carries an emotional weight for those who encounter these phenomena. There is a sense of longing, of stories left unfinished, and of lives interrupted by the sea. Witnesses often describe a mixture of awe and melancholy. Struck by the beauty of the landscape, and unsettled by the suggestion that it is shared with unseen inhabitants. Every whisper, every fleeting figure, becomes part of the ongoing narrative of Nantucket Beach. A reminder that the past is never entirely gone. As evening approaches, the fog thickens and the temperature drops, intensifying the experience. The horizon becomes a seamless expanse of gray, and the figures along the dunes appear more frequently and with greater clarity. Their presence feels deliberate, as if they are retracing steps from long ago, repeating patterns that have persisted through time. The interaction between the living and the unseen is subtle yet undeniable. Visitors may sense a presence at their side, a whisper in the wind, or a cold touch on the shoulder. There is no malice, only a quiet insistence that the stories of Nantucket Beach are still active, still part of the landscape. It is a place where one becomes acutely aware of the passage of time, the cycles of the tides, and the layers of history embedded in sand and sea. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. A place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. A place where the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. A place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. It is a place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. It is a place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. A place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. It is a place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. A place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. It is a place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. A place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. This is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, where the unseen and the seen blur into one. It is a place where the living and the dead converge, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. A place where time stands still, where the past and present collide, and the future hangs in the balance. And it is here that we find ourselves face to face with the unknown, with the infinite and the infinitesimal, with the abyssal void that stares back at us. A place where the laws of reality are twisted and distorted, where the very fabric of existence is torn asunder. Nantucket Beach invites reflection as much as fascination. Walking along the shoreline, one contemplates the lives of those who sailed these waters. The tragedies that claimed ships and crews. And the legacy of maritime culture that continues to define the island. The mist, the apparitions, and the soundscape of whispers and footsteps create a sensory experience that transcends the ordinary. Each visit becomes a journey into the interplay of history, memory, and the unknown. Even when the fog lifts, the sense of mystery does not dissipate. The dunes, the sand, and the surf retain the weight of countless stories, some joyful, some sorrowful, and some inexplicable. Visitors leave with impressions that linger, a feeling that Nantucket Beach is more than a natural landmark. It is a keeper of histories, a repository of echoes from the past. And a place where the extraordinary can be glimpsed if one is attentive to the subtle signs. For those who wander its sands, Nantucket Beach is an immersive experience. The ghostly sailors, the distant whispers, and the occasional sighting of phantom ships remind visitors that some places carry the energy of lives long gone. The mist rolls over the dunes, the wind shifts with unexpected cold. And the waves continue their endless rhythm, forming a backdrop for encounters that are as fleeting as they are unforgettable. Every step along the beach, every glance toward the horizon, becomes a connection to something beyond the ordinary, a subtle invitation to witness the lingering presence of history and mystery along the Massachusetts coast. Myrtle Beach stretches along the South Carolina coastline, a place known for sun, sand, and the gentle rhythm of the Atlantic waves. Yet beneath its cheerful surface lies a quieter, more mysterious side. Abandoned boardwalks and empty piers hold stories that linger long after the sun has set. And visitors often speak of an unshakable sense that they are not truly alone. As darkness falls, the familiar hum of the ocean gives way to softer, more elusive sounds. The wind carries faint echoes, footsteps along weathered planks, and laughter that seems out of place. These sounds appear without origin, weaving through the night air and leaving those who hear them questioning what is real and what belongs to the past. The boardwalks themselves are weathered and worn, remnants of a time when Myrtle Beach was quieter, smaller, and yet already vibrant with life. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the sand. And faint forms appear at the edges of vision. Moving with deliberate yet unhurried motion. They vanish the instant they are fully noticed. As if acknowledging the presence of the living. While remaining tethered to their own history. The Atlantic Ocean laps rhythmically against the shore. Masking and revealing sounds that do not belong. Visitors report hearing footsteps pacing near the waterline. Accompanied by laughter that rises and fades with the tide. The effect is subtle, yet persistent, creating an impression that the beach itself remembers those who once walked here, long before the modern attractions and bustling crowds arrived. Piers jut out into the water, their structure skeletal and quiet, yet imbued with memory. People walking along them after dark have claimed to see figures standing near the edge, gazing out over the ocean. These figures are often translucent, flickering in and out of view, yet their presence is undeniable. Some say the figures are of those who once worked on the waterfront, perhaps lost to the water, lingering near the sites of their daily lives. Even in the sand dunes that border the beach, movement is reported. Shadows dart between the grasses, and shapes appear to pause and observe. Only to vanish when approached. The sounds of the night carry these moments further. Whispers blending with the wind. Creating an atmosphere that is at once serene and unsettling. Visitors find themselves drawn into a rhythm of observation, attuned to the small disturbances and subtle presences that make the beach feel alive in a different way. Myrtle Beach's quieter corners reveal the stories of its past. Layered beneath the modern boardwalks and entertainment venues. Old hotels, shuttered shops, and vacant piers become stages for phenomena that defies simple explanation. Guests speak of cold spots moving along the boardwalk, doors creaking as if pushed by unseen hands. And fleeting glimpses of people dressed in attire from decades gone by. Each encounter adds to the sense that the beach retains fragments of its history, woven into every grain of sand and every echoing footstep. At night, the atmosphere intensifies. The moon casts long shadows over the piers, reflecting off the water in silvery patterns. Figures are seen moving with purpose, their presence subtle but undeniable. Laughter echoes faintly, sometimes close, sometimes distant, as if drifting across both space and time. These sounds and shapes create a sensory experience that captivates and unnerves, leaving visitors with the feeling that the beach itself is watching, or perhaps remembering. The combination of sound, shadow, and history gives Myrtle Beach a haunting quality that many describe as both beautiful and eerie. Visitors have reported glimpsing people walking along the sand who do not respond to greeting or gesture. Shadows that follow and then vanish. And the sensation of being observed when the area seems completely empty. These experiences create a connection to the past, a reminder that the lives once lived here continue to ripple through the environment. Even during quiet daylight hours, the residual presence lingers. The beach may seem calm and ordinary. Yet subtle signs remind those paying attention that history has left its mark. Wind sweeping across the dunes carries echoes of laughter and footsteps. Faint impressions in the sand. The tilt of a weathered railing. And the shifting shadows of abandoned structures suggest that the beach is alive with stories untold, waiting to be witnessed. Myrtle Beach is more than its attractions and sandy shores. It is a place where history and memory intersect. Where the living and those who linger from the past share space in ways both delicate and profound. Each visitor who ventures into these quieter corners participates in the ongoing narrative. Becoming a witness to the subtle, haunting presence that defines Myrtle Beach after dark. The beach offers a dual experience, a blending of natural beauty and lingering spirits. Figures seen at the edges of perception, faint laughter carried on the wind, and footsteps that appear with no source. All contribute to a sensation that is both mysterious and compelling. Myrtle Beach, in its quieter hours, invites reflection on the lives that shaped it. And the echoes that continue to roam, leaving every visitor with the awareness that the sands are not empty. And that the night holds more than the eye can see. Santa Cruz Beach is known for its golden sands, crashing waves, and the familiar rhythm of surfboards slicing through the ocean. By day, it is alive with families, surfers, and the hum of boardwalk attractions. Yet as night falls, the atmosphere shifts. The air heavy with a sense of the past lingering just beyond sight. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions along the shore, figures that appear to be past lifeguards standing watch or fishermen walking the edge of the surf. The apparitions are often glimpsed at the periphery of vision, moving slowly and deliberately, vanishing when approached. Their presence feels calm yet haunting, as if they are bound to the beach by duty and memory. Along the empty sands, faint sounds sometimes reach those who walk alone. Whistles echo across the water, cries drift softly from the direction of the boardwalk. And footsteps crunch in rhythm with the surf. The source is never visible, yet the sounds feel immediate, brushing against the mind and stirring a quiet unease. The wind carries them, blending with the natural rhythms of waves and tides, creating a layered symphony of the present and the past. The pier, extending over the ocean like a sentinel, seems to hold the strongest echoes. Figures appear to wander its length, pausing at railings as if gazing out over the water, before dissolving into the night. Observers sometimes feel a presence beside them, a subtle pressure, a sense of being watched without threat. Shadows along the pier stretch in unnatural ways, shifting with the moonlight and the glow of distant city lights. Mist rolling in from the ocean adds to the ethereal quality of the beach. Shapes emerge from the haze, fleeting and indistinct, seeming to move independently of the natural light. The sand beneath footprints appears and disappears mysteriously, as though the figures never truly make contact with the physical world. Each gust of wind carries whispers of activity long past, a reminder that the beach has witnessed generations of life, work, and joy, and perhaps loss as well. Visitors often notice subtle anomalies. A chair left near the boardwalk might be displaced when no one is around. The sound of a whistle cuts through the quiet, only to vanish into nothing. Shadows appear in reflections on the water, moving in ways inconsistent with the natural motion of waves. These phenomena are fleeting, yet they leave an impression that lingers long after the observer has departed. The stories of Santa Cruz Beach at night are not terrifying, but they are compelling. Apparitions of lifeguards and fishermen suggest a continuity, a preservation of the routines and responsibilities of those who once walked these sands. Children of past generations may be glimpsed along the shoreline, laughter faint, carried on the wind as if replaying moments of happiness frozen in time. The boardwalk and its attractions contribute to the sense of haunting. Flickering lights, distant music, and the occasional creak of an abandoned ride merge with the sounds of the ocean, creating an environment in which the past seems close, yet just out of reach. Those who walk slowly, paying attention to the rhythm of waves and the patterns of shadows, often find the experiences most vivid. As if the beach itself is guiding them to notice the traces of history. Those who walk slowly, paying attention to the rhythm of waves and the patterns of shadows, often find the experiences most vivid, as if the beach itself is guiding them to notice the traces of history. Even when the sun rises, the memory of night at Santa Cruz Beach remains. Apparitions fade, whispers die down, and shadows retreat with the light. Yet the presence of the past lingers in the sand, the pier, and the surf. Visitors carry these impressions with them, a reminder that this stretch of coastline is not only a place of recreation and beauty but also a keeper of countless stories. Walking the beach at night is an immersive experience. The combination of sound, movement, and atmosphere transforms the familiar into something mysterious. The wind, the waves, and the occasional glow from the pier blend to create a canvas where past and present intersect. The apparitions of lifeguards, fishermen, and unseen children serve as reminders of lives that once moved here, of moments of vigilance, labor, and play that continue to echo through the sands and surf. Those who leave the beach with this awareness often feel a connection to the unseen. The cries, footsteps, and faint whistles are not threatening. But they remind observers that Santa Cruz Beach is a space where memory remains alive. Lingering beyond the day, carried by the tide, and whispered by the night. By acknowledging these subtle presences, visitors can experience the beach in a new way. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, and each sound or shadow is imbued with layers of history and emotion. The sands of Santa Cruz Beach hold more than footprints of the living. They hold echoes of those who have come before, a quiet, haunting testament to lives intertwined with the shore, the pier, and the eternal rhythm of the ocean. Beaches are places of beauty and relaxation, but these haunted shores are alive with history, tragedy, and the unseen. Every wave that crashes, every gust of wind, and every flicker of light carries echoes of the past. Next time you stroll along the sand, remember these tales. Would you dare to walk a haunted beach at night, knowing the spirits of the lost may be watching from the surf? Some beaches offer more than scenic views, they offer encounters with the mysteries of the past.